teacher respiratory therapist. So today we're going to be talking about asthma. The National Asthma and Prevention Program is kind of like a agency or organization that makes up the guidelines for asthma. So we're going to be going over that, what those guidelines are, what's expected, and then also how practitioners can see those guidelines and follow them and keep up to date with them. So yeah, I'll be doing this. I made this PowerPoint and I'll be doing this PowerPoint. My name's Elizabeth Locker. Okay, so what are the goals of the NAEPP? So the NAEPP was initiated in 1989, and like I said, it's really to focus on the control of asthma and how we can help manage it. So roughly about 6 million children suffer with asthma, 25 million people overall. So it was created to help raise awareness, ensure effective control of asthma, and enhance quality of life. So when we think about asthma, a lot of times people just think about kids that use inhalers, or puff an inhaler and they kind of grow out of it. But there's so many people that struggle with asthma for so many different reasons, whether that's, exercise-induced asthma, or more of an environmental asthma, or, something that they were born with, developed as a kid, or they didn't develop until later in life. So there's so many reasons someone can have asthma, and there's also so many different presenting forms of asthma. So it's good to know what kind of form you have, how to better treat it, and how effective the treatments are. And that really can only be known by documenting, day to day how your asthma is doing and how it's being managed. So what resources has the NAEPP developed? So they mostly, when we're looking at the NAEPP, we have to remember that these are guidelines that were originally established in 1991. Now they have made revisions up until 2020. I'm assuming because of COVID and everything. But there's been 6 different topic areas that they made updates to concerning the asthma management guidelines. And these guidelines are mainly just focused around emphasizing the importance of asthma control and asthma maintenance. Another thing that they did was they changed the guidelines for asthma care. So basically saying, hey, we need this care to be more emphasized on evidence-based practices and an evidence-based approach, rather than just, experience or opinion. It needs to be based in evidence and evidence-based approaches or practices. So yeah, here we have the NAEPP Expert Panel Report 3. So this focuses on follow-up and long-term treatment with routine maintenance to help maintain control of asthma symptoms. And there's kind of 2 main ways that this is split up. So one of the key factors is reducing risk. So asthma control focuses on lessening the severity and frequency of future asthma attacks, and reduced lung growth and or lung function, as well as medication side effects and how individuals are managing their asthma versus their symptoms. So basically what this is saying is that we want to reduce the overall risk of asthma, and by one way that we can reduce the risk is by reducing the frequency of asthma attacks and how severe they are. And that goes even further back in reducing the frequency to knowing what medications are most effective for that patient, the individual themselves knowing that as well, and then what side effects of the medication could almost be counteracting the benefits. And then especially with like inhalers, like, you know, like a dry powder inhaler or having a valve holding chamber, just knowing and making sure that the patient is aware of how to properly use the inhaler, how frequently to actually take it, and are they taking it too much? Are they not taking it for maintenance? Are they trying to use it as a rescue inhaler when it's a corticosteroid? Just kind of knowing those things and being more aware of them. And then reducing impairment, so focusing on the intensity and the frequency of symptoms and the impact that that has on the patient and where their baseline functioning is, and reducing them exceeding that. So kind of knowing, like, you know, where that tip-off point is, you know, based off that asthma action plan. The quick reference guide is kind of completely how it sounds. So it's just a quick guide that can help enable practitioners and clinicians to see the guidelines to help ensure they provide good care. So versus someone, you know, researching a bunch of stuff or looking at and trying to make sure that something is accurate and up to date. In this case, they can just kind of, you know, glance over it, read through it, and then go, okay, those are the guidelines. That's how I can establish good care. And that's what I need to follow. So it just kind of makes it a little bit easier, you know? Okay, so now we have achieving and maintaining asthma control. So with achieving and maintaining anything, there's a process, right? And when it comes to asthma, that process kind of looks like a series of steps. So initially, you know, diagnosing asthma on that initial visit, and focusing on what kind of asthma is it, how severe is it, what are their day-to-day symptoms, do they get really bad asthma attacks, are these asthma exacerbations severe? You know, this is kind of off topic, but I was watching this video about this nurse that has a cat, and he was explaining that his cat had asthma, and he was showing him giving his cat like the inhaler, and he flashed to a video of his cat having an asthma attack and what that sounds like. And he explained that based off watching his videos, a lot of people said that they weren't aware that their cat had asthma until they saw his video and what that looks like and how it presents. So not to get off topic, but that it's kind of the same in the situation. You know, if you don't know what a symptom is, or, you know, that it even is a symptom, then you might be missing out on the full level of treatment that your body needs, right? Because if we're not aware that something is even a symptom, then it makes it a lot harder for a practitioner to be able to help treat that. So just kind of knowing the severity of that, and then what medications for that particular patient are effective. Do they just need a rescue inhaler? You know, is it mild asthma? Do they need, you know, daily maintenance? Do they have an action plan, like a written action plan, where they kind of know like what zone they're in, and when they get to red, you know, what does that look like? And then from there, the implementation. So having a follow-up visit, how has the asthma been controlled based off what they discussed, you know, reviewing the medication they were given, have they been using it properly, does it need to be changed, and maybe even bringing in that asthma action plan, or like a daily journal that they wrote down their symptoms to just kind of see like where they're at, and if it worked, you know. Lastly, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it was educational and informative, and that you got something out of it. Thank you.